Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today with your bonus weekly replay video that yet again is falling right after your normal weekly replay video. Because once again, it was one of those weeks we had a bunch of news come out about upcoming features to the game, and of course with the CV test commencing this past week, it of course kind of bumped things around in the schedule. But anyway. Yes, it is a submarine replay. Yes, sub bad, but I mean, if you don't want to play them, watching how they're played is the next best thing you can do in order to learn how to deal with them. You can see how they're played, what the commander is doing. That way, next time it's happening to you, you might have a better idea of what's going on and how to counter it. So this is DPR here, and a sub we don't see a whole lot. The Tier 10 British submarine, the Thrasher. Now, the British submarine line is quite a bit different than the American and German submarine line. The usual main difference between the American and German submarines is that the American submarines are more based around their unguided torpedoes, and that's what their gameplay is based around. They usually typically have a good range with those unguided torpedoes, and their unguided torpedoes typically do quite well in terms of damage. The German submarines have better, of course, long-range homing torpedoes, and that's again typically what they are based around. The British submarines only have homing torpedoes that are on the slower side for submarine torpedoes, and they have, as you can see, an exceedingly long submerged time. They can stay in the water for about 5 minutes. Well, at least the Thrasher here can, whereas again the German and the American submarines have a more comparable underwater time, even at higher tier. But anyway, this Napoli has been selected at first, and did you also note too how he fired his torpedoes way far earlier than he had the ping on the Napoli, and also he fired them off to the sides to where they'll kind of converge on the Napoli and give the Napoli a little bit of a heart attack. That's something about the British torpedoes. Since they are slower, they are more maneuverable, so you can pull off some crazier shots with them than you could with the standard homing torpedoes, if you will. And this Napoli is fighting for his friggin' life here. Also, if you didn't notice too, this is a weird match. This is a 9v9 and not a 12v12. First blood to a submarine. Typically, first blood is a submarine nowadays. But yes, this is a 9v9 and not a normal 12v12 match. I'm not sure when our hero here was playing with Warships, but I suspect it was probably later at night. You also see too that the British submarines do have a bit of a longer recharge rate, as you can see there. Alright, let's see. So, what are the teams made up of? So we got a Commodore, a Commodoro, which is the testing ship as the Tier 10 battleship on the friendly side, along with a Rhode Island. You have a Des Moines, a Colombo, Brindisi, San Martin, and a Shimakaze, and of course the Delana. The, Bungo just took out the Rhode Island, so scratch that one off of the list. What's their super destroyer? They have a Yamagiri. That's it. The Darlan and the Yamagiri. One was waiting for the other one in queue for roughly 5 minutes, and then whenever it got another super destroyer in queue, Matchmaker just dumped these 9 players together. It's typically what happens here. So it's like they do have the enemy submarine, the 2501, pinned down over here. You can see the Darlana was launching his rocket ASW off the front of his ship, and then in came the ASW from the Brindisi and the San Martin. There's some oil slicks right there. Also note, DPR is staying out of the water here. Well, he's in the water, but he's not underneath the water, which means that if the 2501 does just pop his submarine surveillance, DPR will stay undetected. That way the enemy team does not know where he is at, and he can stay alive that much longer. Looks like he's going underwater now. He might be about to pop his submarine surveillance. Yep, there you go. Ooh, there they are, 2 kilometers away from one another. So now he has the 2501 spotted, but if you notice, the 2501 does not have him spotted. So I'm not sure if he just timed that right to where the 2501 was out of his submarine surveillance, or if maybe he did get detected there for a second and he knew it was active. But either way, he managed to time it right, because that 2501 is not activating his ASW, because either does it soft cooldown or maybe just doesn't know. Well, he should know to use it because of the collision alarm that popped up when the 2 submarines were within 2 kilometers of one another. But there you go. So that's great for DPR now that 2501 is down. So the threat of submarine surveillance is no more. And let's check the enemy team. I don't think they have Nope, none of the ships left alive on the enemy team have submarine surveillance. So, DPR is now free to run around as he pleases to do so. However, things are not going so well for the friendly team. They're down 2 cruisers and a battleship to the submarine and the enemy cruiser. So the enemy team has the ship advantage at this moment, along with the cap advantage. So, looks like he pinged that one destroyer there. I believe that destroyer cleared the ping, so the next time it's a ping on this Yamagiri, that ping is going to stick. Something you want to watch out for. You don't want to instantly clear those pings, just like you don't want to instantly put out a fire. But it doesn't matter because the San Martin slaughters the Yamagiri anyway. So there we go. The enemy super destroyer is out of the game as well. But there's still a GK in Ohio, and Andalusia, Bungo, and a Seattle all nice and nestled in over there together, which makes it a little hard to target that as a submarine because, well, when any sign of you is present, the team tends to just carpet bomb that general area with depth charges. So, approaching a pack is a little daunting, at least from my experience with submarines. DPR might pull it off, you know, just flawlessly here, but I'm sure we'll see that here in a second. Further Shimakaze is attempting to have the best match of his life over there by throwing wall after wall of torpedoes toward the enemy ships. It looks like DPR is going after the Ohio next. Launches 3 torpedoes. Then it looks like he holds back the second set of torpedoes for, yeah, the other side of the Ohio. So he sends some off to the Ohio's port side, some off to the starboard side. And I'm going to assume he's going to try again to pincer the torpedoes between the Ohio. Alright, Ohio. So speaking of Ohio, Ohio takes out the Shimakaze. That's not good. He is capping the B cap now, along with the Darlana. Is this ping going to stick? Okay, so he gets 1 ping on the Ohio. Sends a second ping out to see if he can get the double ping on the Ohio. There are the ASW aircraft. Does he? Yep, does get the double ping on the Ohio. So those torpedoes are homing in, and they're going to do extra damage because he has these skills. You can tell by the icon being active at the bottom of your screen. And look at that from both sides. Oh god, that's terrible. I would not want to be the Ohio in that case. You know what? I haven't seen British submarine do this, at least when I'm playing, when I run into them. Typically, they just send them in one big pack together, just like the other submarines do. But again, the British submarine torpedoes are a little bit slower, so you can pull off some of these crazy maneuvers here. Alright, so the Ohio, I'm assuming he's used his damage con by now, given the amount of fire he's been under. Alright, so there we go. Another ping on the Ohio. He's attempting the second ping yet again. Looks like the first torpedo is not going to connect. Friendly team is behind on kills right now, so that is not good. Are the points flipped? Yes, the points are flipped, so the green team's points are actually the red team's points. The red team's points are actually the green team's points. Bungo just took out another ship, so now it's down 4-6 at this moment. Oh, now it's down 4-5, with the Commodoro taking out the Andalusia there. Looks like that follow-up shot of torpedoes on the Ohio. They are homing. Looks like, oh yeah, those are gonna hit. There you go. There you go. Takes out the Ohio there with 6 torpedo hits, bringing his damage total up to 64,000 damage so far. Bungo has been spotted. Bungo big ship. Bungo also not very fast ship. Despite being a battle cruiser, it's kind of slow by tier 10 standards. It can't go 30 knots, or I think it can just touch 30 knots if you do like brisk and the speed flag and such. But it's still squishy. But the Yu Yang takes out the Commodoro. So now, again, the enemy team's at a disadvantage. They're down to 1 battleship. The Darlana is still alive, and DPR still alive here in his Thrasher. So the Colombo's getting approached by the Grosser Curve first, so that's probably not going to end too well for the Colombo, especially considering there is a Bungo also on top of it. Keep in mind, too, that DPR has just now submerged after, I think, what, 8 minutes? Maybe 7 minutes of being on the surface? So, yeah, again, submarines for the most part typically play at the surface. They're faster, of course, and makes it easier to get away from unfavorable situations. Like Bungo's going to need a couple of torpedoes here. He does have the double ping on him. That 1, 2, 3. Yep, ate all 3 of those, along with an instance of flooding, which looks like it is sticking. So Seattle's there. Got to be careful about that because he does have radar, and radar can detect submarines when they are at periscope depth or surface. depth, so you don't really want to really give any type of indication that you're around. But thankfully his ping is still active on the bungo, and it might be just enough to keep it on there. But he goes ahead, takes the risk, gets a double ping on the bungo. Oh, that's got to be a dead bungo. All those torpedoes. Go down to 5,000 damage. Woo-wee. That yeah, that's pretty close. The flooding, he doesn't have any flooding because he damaged on the flooding. Just launches 1 or 2 torpedoes there without the ping. Any little nick would have been enough to take out the bungo there. Alright, now we have to deal with this Seattle. Oh, when the Colombo went down, so now it's just DPR and his Thrasher and the Darlana. Ah, Seattle Hydro spots DPR here. Here coming in the ASW aircraft from the Seattle. The GK, I believe, is outside of his ASW range, so he will not be able to contribute to the submarine pounding here. And DPR turns hard underwater, but eats a direct hit from one, knocks out a couple of torpedo tubes, and causes some flooding. But he damage cons that, pops his hydrophone, gets just enough of a glance at the Seattle to determine where he's going to get a ping on him, launches his rear torpedo tubes. Seattle's being spotted by the friendly Darlana, however you say the ship's name. Gets the double ping on the Seattle. Ooh, this is going to be not so great for the Seattle. That first torpedo does miss, but I believe those other 2 are going to hit. There you go, 75, 75, so that was 15,000 damage altogether, and that was enough to get high caliber. Launches some more torpedoes at the Seattle. The ping should still be active, but that Seattle's damage con has to be coming off cooldown here in a second. Also has to be aware of the GK coming in from the east, who does have hydroacoustic search, so don't want to stumble from one hydro into another hydro. Seattle damage cons the ping. He sends another one out there, attacks its stern, but I don't think those torpedoes are going to have enough time to home. And the Seattle, if he's paying attention, should be able to dodge those pretty well. However, the Darlana, being in front of the Seattle, forces the Seattle to point his nose towards where the Darlana's torpedoes are coming from, which means he has to pick between eating the Darlana's torpedoes or the Thrasher's torpedoes. I think, nope, does not escape that second round of torpedoes, but he does manage to only eat one. Alright, and now DPR's battery is going dead, so he's forced to surface to recharge it. There you go. Darlana takes out the Seattle. By the way, Thrasher does have a deck gun that you can control. He just hasn't been using it so far. Alright. I suspect this GK is about to have the most miserable 5-ish minutes of his existence. Because now he has to deal with the torpedoes from the Thrasher and the torpedoes from the Darlana in a GK. A ship that is many things, but is not maneuverable. I don't envy this man here. So, the Darlana torpedoes, they're incredibly fast if you don't know. The Pan-European torpedoes are blazingly fast, but they do very little damage in comparison to the same tier torpedoes. But of course, the Thrasher torpedoes, as we've seen, they're slower but more maneuverable than other submarine torpedoes. So, yeah, GK just got the worst of everything, right? If he has hydroacoustic search run, he might be able to mitigate some of this damage by dodging, well, not really mitigate the damage, but extend his life by dodging the torpedoes as best as he can. Now, battleships as well, they have that 2-kilometer, I'm not exactly sure how you describe it. 2-kilometer, I was going to say unhoming distance, but I guess that's right. 2-kilometer lock-off distance, if you will, for the torpedoes, where the torpedoes will stop homing within 2 kilometers of a battleship. So that means battleships are, ironically, some of the best ships to be attacked in by a submarine, because you have that 2-kilometer distance where the torpedoes will lose their homing. So he's spotted by the GK's hydroacoustic search now, which I don't think he really cares. Well, he might care a little bit, because if the GK nails him just a couple of times with the ASW, he's dead. He's almost 6k HP. Takes him another 3k, though. Those look pretty close. Next round of ASW just grazes him, gives him another instance of oil leakage. And he's out of damage con too, fellas. So this is quite dangerous with DPR here if he's trying to min-max his earnings here. And there you guys, you see that first round of torpedoes missed thanks to the homing. But GK is still running around trying to dodge those very... I mean, look how fast those Delana torps are going in comparison to DPR's British submarine torpedoes here. I think that second set, that looks a lot better on him. Oh, he just damage conned the ping, so they might miss now. Yeah, it looks like the GK is maneuvering, so he's managing to dodge those. GK is absolutely not having a great time here. Again, I would not want to trade positions with him. But he does have the 2 caps, though. So, the enemy team is still in the lead. Again, guys, the points are flipped. So, they could still very much win here if the GK can just survive for the next 4 minutes or until that timer ticks up to 1,000 points. So, it's not like he's just playing with the food here for additional damage. They still have to sink this guy if they want to win. I mean, given what the GK is up against, he's doing a pretty good job of not dying. But 52 seconds on this ping. These torpedoes look good. GK's got a lot of HP though. Oof, 23,000. Oh, I can't eat too much of that. Oh, it's another 17,000 damage. He is healing though. Delana's opening up. I think he's just out. No, he's inside the GK secondary range. GK smartly has HE loaded. So Delana torp's going to get him here. Nope. Dodges those. Look at that, fellas. Man. I feel this GK player. There we go. Delana finally takes him out of his misery. Man, that was unexpected, though. I completely forgot that the points were flipped in those last couple of minutes there. So he had to perish. 249,000 damage. Damn. That's a lot. That's a lot in a submarine. Submarine damage fell through the floor after the nerfs. Number 1 on the team, 2,900 base XP. So while many of you will probably, well, you guys do probably despise submarines, that was a pretty impressive game nonetheless. I mean, yeah, again, with submarine damage being in the gutter after the nerfs, pulling off 250,000 damage, and while, yes, a good chunk of it was, harassing a GK for a good portion of the match, DPR managed to stay alive, which is a lot more than most of the submarines that I run across do. 35 torpedo hits, though. I think this is another case of where he fired more torpedoes than the total gross weight of his submarine, right? So, yeah, don't we love arcade games? But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. I'm sure there will be many a wonderful comment made about the replay and all that jazz. But I just thought this would be an entertaining one to show you guys on the Sunday. So now that you've sat down and watched this very accursed replay, go enjoy something else on your Sunday. Hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday, wonderful rest of the week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.